Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, hi, everyone. This is Gary Berman, the host of the Cyber Hero Adventure Show. And I want to begin by asking you, based on the expectations of that super cool opening, how disappointed are you to see me just sort of sitting here like this? Well, though, I do have something super cool that may pop up towards the end of the show. How many people do you know that go to the dry cleaners to pick up superhero costumes, and it's not even Halloween? Yay! Exactly. And those of you who have watched our show before know that in addition to shining the light on the unsung cyber heroes who toil it into me to keep us safe at work and home, at school, one of our missions is to basically try to take this aircraft carrier that's the cybersecurity and IT, kind of ecosystem, and kind of move it a little bit at a time with all these planes going off and crazy and all this kinetic stuff going on, which is, cybersecurity for sure, and kind of pivot it from fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD, to something along the lines of fun. And that's our intention today. And I work on sort of the fun part, which is why I have the most incredible guest to talk about cybersecurity and the substance. Hi, Sophia.
Hi, how are you?
It's so nice to have you here. Sophia is the Chief Operations Officer of Supremely. So you had nothing better to do today?
Well, actually, I'm doing a lot of stuff, but this is a really important matter, and I want to talk about it. So thank you for inviting me, Gary.
Well, we're super, super glad to have you, and so the audience understands, as well. Sophia and her great colleagues over at Supremely are doing something super cool called a cyber material. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because our audience is going to be the beneficiary of seeing some cool information that you'll be sharing today.
Yeah, sure. So what we do as Cyber Material is we share all the content related to cybersecurity, and we try to classify all the information in different topics. So this week we are doing cryptocurrencies, and we are talking about cybersecurity and how cryptocurrencies are related to security. And last week we did blockchain, and also we did social engineering as well. So that's why we jumped in and we talk about this today.
Wow, that's cool. Well, we're so grateful to have you on board, and for being a real life unsung cyber hero. And I can attest personally, in addition to knowing a lot about cybersecurity, she's actually really quite funny.
Okay.
Which sort of got a delayed laugh. But you'll see that she is. And speaking of funny and competent as well, I'd like to introduce Tom Raftery. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Gary, hi. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. And hi, Sophia, how are you doing?
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, we're really lucky to have Tom with us because he's doing one of the coolest things that I've ever heard of, and that is being a futurist. And to me, the thing about being a futurist is like the best job in the world because, by definition, it never comes.
That's
what is that? I mean, what does it mean to be a futurist at a company like SAP?
Yeah, it's great fun. You're absolutely right. And I got into this because I'm very ADD. I can't focus on any one thing for any length of time. I'm always doing 3 or 4 things at the same time, and because of that, I can't be looking at things that are happening today, something that's going on all the time. I have to be always kind of, my mind is always kind of buzzing, and I have to be going, okay, that's what happened last week. that's what's going on today. So what's going to happen next week? And I'm always trying to plot trend lines and where things are going. And so that's how I became a kind of a futurist. I read voraciously. I'm always looking at what's going on in the world, be it in politics, be it in technology, be it in economics, in all these kind of spheres, and I kind of bring those together. And yeah, it's all about that. It's all about drawing trend lines, going, yeah, that's what happened 5 years ago. This is where we are today. Bang. So in 5 years' time, these are the kind of things that we're going to see.
So you're looking for what's new.
Exactly.
And how do you sort through what must be an incredible amount of information based on what you said and what you do?
Yeah, there's a great quote from a professor of journalism out of New York called Clay Shirky, where he says, there's no such thing as information overload, there's just filter failure. And I'm a big believer in that. I follow, I don't know, like 20,000 people on Twitter, for example. And that might sound impossible. And, you know, frankly, it is. You can't read every tweet that every one of those 20,000 accounts publishes, obviously. But you can put filters in place to make sure you see the more important ones. So I do that. And it's similar for other forms of information, you know, everything from email to, I'm a big believer in old school RSS feeds. So I use them a lot for collating information, and I pipe those, and I see what I believe to be the most important stuff. I curate very carefully, and then I see what I think is the most important stuff.
I mean, that's incredibly interesting. And Sophia, that's really what Cyber Materials does as well, right? I mean, isn't that a similar mission, a similar approach, but you focus more on well, it's not just cyber, is it?
Yeah, we actually focus more on cybersecurity, and we try to educate cyber citizens to get to know what's going on, what's happening, what tools they can use to fight cyber crime, or what they can use to protect themselves. And also for cyber professionals, you can find certifications and everything related to specific topics. So it's really important because you don't find a place online that you can find everything related to cyber in one place. And also most like different sites, they are like classified or for professionals or for regular people. But you need to have like both so you can understand what's happening.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And I'm going to show the audience now a little overview as we're moving a little more specifically towards the topic at hand, social. So, you know, the one thing that really just kind of pops out at me, you know, based on the advice that you're giving there is don't put anything personal on social media.
Exactly, yeah.
I have just one you know, sort of way to, you know, explain that. I mean, okay, like, can you amplify that? I mean, don't put anything personal on social media. And Tom, by the way, for our audience, is a global expert on social media.
So what it's actually this video is explaining is that the social engineering is more like an attack on the human mind. So it's like whatever you don't want it to reveal from yourself, and you just put it without knowing. So when you put personal information in social media, you're revealing things that you may not intend to reveal to some specific people, but you are not conscious about it. So the best advice that I can give you is not to reveal personal information like your home address, phone number, or even if you go on vacation, where are you going?
And Sophia, what's your mother's maiden name?
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Excuse the interruption. We have some breaking news here coming across the bottom here. Tom, what is this all about? Attacks of social engineering. Let's see what it says. Social engineering is more dangerous than most people think. In fact, I'm going to have to learn how to make these things go faster. We found that 97% of attacks involve some kind of social engineering.
Yes,
Okay.
because like cyber criminals, what they do is they study their target. So what they do is they look for vulnerabilities on their target, and they try to, like, I don't know, find an employee that forgot, I don't know, to lock a computer, or find an employee that reveals personal information online or on LinkedIn. So they can impersonate another employee because they found information online. So whenever it comes to like revealing information on social media, you need to be really careful, because attackers, they go online and they do a quick search of you, of the target, and they create a profile, and they find a lot of information that they can use against you.
I'm screwed. All my information is online.
Yeah, and
everything on Instagram, the pictures of my cat, the whole thing.
Yeah.
You actually have also the name of your cat, right?
Yep.
And probably you put in a password somehow.
Just to let the audience know, you sent me a picture of a cat today. Was that your cat? Just so I know.
No, it was just a gift.
Thank you. I'm more of a dog person, but that's a different conversation.
I have one of my dogs lying here beside me, by the way. So if you suddenly hear a loud barking, that'll be Freddy.
Well, you have a sound effects machine now. Do you happen to have a bark?
I don't have a bark. I have crickets.
No, thank you. No, that's a show. Oh no, take that back. Okay, wait. I'll do the comedy. You do the serious stuff. That we stay on our lanes. But on a more serious topic, I mean, our audience may not know that my company and I were victims of a series of insider attacks. I ended up losing several $1 million. And one of the tools they used was social engineering. They called my biggest clients, which were very large, major U.S. corporations, pretending to be a whistleblower and saying that I was under investigation by the FBI and to cease all communications with me and our company, all the while funneling the business to a cloned shadow company that they had set up. So, I can testify firsthand to the evil intentions of the criminals and things like that. So, Tom, how do people protect themselves from this?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay, well, that's a little bit depressing.
Yeah. I can jump in and I can give you some advice. The thing is, you need to be aware that these things exist. Like, if you don't know that they exist, it is kind of hard for you to protect yourself. But if you know the techniques they use, you kind of understand, and you can find some red flags in some interactions you have with other social engineers, and you can actually protect yourself. For example, let's say you receive a call from your bank, right? And the call says, "Oh, we've seen some activity in your bank account. We need your PIN number so we can verify that it was actually you." And then you're like, why is that? So you the first thing is like, why the bank is calling me, asking me for my PIN number? And then you said, what you can do in that case is that you hang up and you call the number that you have for your bank, not the call that you received. Just Google it or look for your bank number. And you called and you said, "Hey, I got this call and there's some, I don't know, activity on my account and I need to give my PIN number." And maybe the agent says, "No, we didn't see anything. That was a scam."
Yeah, indeed. And, this is such a serious matter that the FBI, of course, is very involved in these both from a individual perspective, but from an organization or business or government perspective. And I had an occasion to sync up with the FBI prior to the election last year. I think it was around September or so, and they created a series of educational videos to
FBI
basically, to be able to help people, protect themselves. So I just want to play this one here, and then we'll talk when we come back about what we just saw. So.
In this video, the FBI provides information about social engineering. Hello, I'm Jay, a special agent with the FBI. Welcome to social engineering, or more bluntly, targeted lies designed to get you to let your guard down. Social engineering is the most common technique deployed by criminals, adversaries, competitors, and spies to exploit humans and computer networks. That's because it's all too simple. You don't need any technical skills to be successful. Social engineering is the use of deception through manipulation of human behavior to target and manipulate you into divulging confidential or personal information and using it for fraudulent purposes. In the context of information security, social engineering might also mean psychologically manipulating people to take action to inadvertently give adversaries access to protected information or assets. Social engineering can also be used to embarrass and humiliate campaigns, voter groups, and others. Phishing, phishing campaigns, and spear phishing are just a few examples of social engineering. Phishing is a fraudulent practice of sending an email, which appears to come from a reputable source, to lure someone to reveal personal information or click on a link. Just like when you go fishing, you throw a hook into a body of water to bait a fish to bite on the hook. In this case, that's done by malicious emails. Phishing campaigns generally target a group of individuals or companies by sending multiple fraudulent but enticing emails in the hope that at least one person falls for the bait. These emails are often designed to look official, as if coming from your campaign itself, a trusted vendor, donor, or other known senders. Spear phishing, on the other hand, is a very targeted and customized email to lure the targeted victim to take action. Typically, the adversary has done some research on the victim to understand what would make this specific person fall for the scam. Criminal and foreign-sponsored governments, cyber adversaries.
So what do you think about that?
Well, Tom, you want to say something?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is none of this is news to me. We get these educational videos internally all the time and get warned not to click links, all that kind of stuff. Security is a topic that I have a bit of a partial interest in as well, and I've done quite a bit of research in it. So I wouldn't have anything like Sophia's level of knowledge about it, obviously, because it's not something I work in day to day, but it is something I keep a watching eye on. So, phishing, all that kind of stuff, that's kind of 101 really for security.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because the reason that I got connected with them and I had the opportunity to go into a secure facility, of the FBI in outside of Washington, D.C., which was somewhat mind-blowing, like what am I doing here, is because all of their videos are like that. They kind of look, for lack of a better way of saying it, like FBI videos.
Right.
Well, how cool it would be if we just take the content from those videos and turn it into animations, and superhero, costumes, and imbue it with energy and stuff like that. And they couldn't let a individual organization use the FBI moniker, and that kind of stuff. But I mean, these things don't seem that effective. Just like when you just said, like 101, or are they? Sophia?
Well, what I can say, I mean, it's not that effective, because when you hear the word FBI, people tend to walk away from it, and that's like I feel like most people, like, they are not that like day-to-day lives connected with the FBI. So why would I go to an FBI website to watch these videos? But the thing is, most cyber professionals, they are connected with them because they work together sometimes, and they need to know this. But regular people, they don't. So I think they should make like educational videos and for regular people, so they can understand what happens.
Internally in our organization, we have it within SAP. Our security team occasionally sends out phishing emails to the employees, to raise awareness and to see how many people report having received a phishing email. So it's a way of raising awareness. We have a particular email account that if we receive an email that we suspect is a phishing email, that we should forward it to, so that the team become aware of it if it came from external sources. But also from time to time, they do send out one themselves to test, to raise awareness internally and to make us aware of it, and to make sure that we know what we're supposed to do and that we do the right thing when it happens.
Indeed. And you see on the bottom, a rapid response, unsung cyber hero squad. I sent a message and we have a rapid responder. Let's welcome to the show. Hey, Scott Schober, how you doing?
Hi, Scott.
Hey, I'm doing good. Nice to see you, Sophia, Tom, and Gary.
Scott.
Oh, Gary, you mentioned you have a dog. What's your dog's name?
No, I used to have a dog. The dog, okay. I do the counting, okay? What are we missing? I have to find some other way to communicate that, which is going to be a doll that I gave my wife whenever I'm in trouble.
Sweetheart, your hot bubble bath is ready.
There, we don't have one of those. And Smarty Pants, I won a trophy.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I think you could actually just buy these. I'm not really sure, but it looks good. It looks good. No, it's a real trophy from the .com something or other. Anyway, so Scott, thanks for jumping in. Let me just ask you something about your beautiful outfit, the color purple. When I first got into this, I learned about red teams, of course, and blue teams like that, but I had not heard of purple until years later. Are you sending us a visual message, or is that a random shirt and tie?
This is just a random shirt and tie in this particular case, so not to mislead anybody there. But it's a good topic about social engineering, I think. And if I can, I wanted to throw in two other spins on it that I think are interesting that we don't often think of. And one of them, in the world of social engineering, you call it baiting. And when somebody baits, it's a nice, effective scam. And it could be anything. You could say, maybe you get a phone call, Gary, or an email, somebody telling you that you're going to get 1 month of Netflix for free or whatever it is. And what happens is your mind, because again, as Sophia pointed out, it's an effective fooling of someone's mind. It distracts you. You're thinking now about, wow, I'm going to get Netflix for free. I'm going to watch this movie, this and that. And what are they doing? They're trying to garnish little bits of information about Gary Berman, his login credentials, his personality. So they've already done their homework. They've gotten as much as they can off social media, because again, we do put too much personal stuff out on social media about ourselves. And then they can build a case if they want to steal your identity or take credit out in your name or whatever they're trying to accomplish. So baiting is a very popular way, and most of us will fall victim to it, especially if they watch our patterns of what we like. And if they partially hack into maybe some of the things that we do and like, we innocently fall for it, and we are too trusting. We give away information in hopes of getting something in return, that free 1 month trial to Netflix or whatever it is. So that's something really cool that we have to all be careful of. Just inspect it, check it, verify, as was mentioned before, pick the phone up and call to the company to see if it's even legitimate.
Well,
Actually,
so excuse the interruption. I just wanted to segue real quickly. Speaking of I don't want to use the word baiting, but we're announcing something incredibly new for the first time. And Scott may or may not know what I'm about to say, but for the first 3 people that send us comments, once we make the comments available, you're going to get a free copy of Scott's new book. You have a choice, Senior Cyber. What is that about, Scott? Just kidding. And hacked again. So stay tuned. You'll see the special signal for comments, and you'll have your chance to get. They're great books. I'm already finished through the first one. Sophia, sorry for the interruption.
No, I was just gonna go in the line of baiting. There's an episode on Mr. Robot, and they are throwing away USB devices on a parking lot for. They wanted to break into a jail, so they were like throwing away like USB drives on the parking lot, and for like people that work at jail, they will pick it up so they can use it as a clipboard sniffing. So that's part also of baiting. Like out of the blue, you shouldn't plug it in your computer. Like, no, don't do that. So
isn't that the method that they used to hack the Iranian nuclear facilities? I've forgotten the name of the hack, but it was Stuxnet. That's the one. It was done with a USB drive in a car park. So obviously that's where Mr. Robot got that one from.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how do you, let me put this out there to see if you think this is valid, that part of the reason humans have survived and prospered compared to the rest of, the food chain, let's say, is because we have learned to trust or not trust, to be able to, on a reptilian brain standpoint, friend or foe. How do we listen to that reptilian brain when it comes to social media, Tom, and the social engineering around having all of that stuff online? Yeah,
the social media aspect is tricky because it is so easy to create bot armies online. I think a big part of the problem there lies with the companies themselves, the Twitters and the Facebooks, and how easy they've made it to programmatically create accounts and large armies of them, and it not be properly policed. We saw that in 2016, and we saw it again in 2020. Things seem to be improving slightly towards the end of 2020, but it's taken a long time and there's still a lot of work to do. You really have to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of the accounts on these platforms are likely fake. And, do not take people, unless you happen to know the person well and for a long time and have interacted closely with them and possibly even have met them in real life, then you can start to trust them if it's someone that you are well acquainted with. But even then, be aware their account may have been hacked. So interacting with people via social media is something you want to be, if something appears out of normal, then be wary, because to my point, even if it's someone you know well, their account might have been taken over.
Indeed. And Scott, have you been? I know you were the victim of a series of hacks. Have you ever had any personal experience with social media, and then layers of an onion, realizing the person with whom you thought you were interacting with was not?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it happened a couple of years ago, and that was the essence of the first book that I wrote, Hacked Again, when my company was targeted. My Twitter account got hacked, our website DDoS attacks, credit card, debit card. We had 65 grand taken from us, became a federal investigation, so on and so forth. In the process of that, what was interesting, on my Twitter account, I observed a couple very strange individuals. So what I had done was, with another company I worked with, it was an Israeli firm at the time, I had them do some research for me on these particular individuals in the dark web, and they were notorious cyber criminals. And they were basically testing and hacking different accounts and targeting myself and my company at the time. So I gathered a whole bunch of evidence to prove it, to verify it for myself, because I was in disbelief. I said, how could this be happening again and again and again, similar to your story, Gary? But as I dug in, I realized, yeah, you know what? I did personally have too much personal information out there on social media, myself, as well as my company accounts. And one piece of advice I share with everyone since I learned the hard way is, don't be so honest on social media. What do I mean by that? Put some information that's fake, that's false. It looks like you're traveling and you're in Miami and you post a picture, maybe it was taken years ago. Do things that are a little bit disruptive. Don't put your actual birth date when you set up a social media account. I have a different birthday on every single social media account. Why? Because if and when someone tries to take out credit in my name, they call the issuing bank, and then they give the wrong birth date, conversation over. So little tricks. It's okay to lie on social media. Everybody does anyway, but especially about personal details. Make the hackers really have to work. It'll save you a lot of grief.
One other point I'd make on that is 2FA, two-factor authentication. Have it turned on for all your social media accounts, and for every account where it's available. It can be a pain in the ass at times when you're constantly having to go to your device, whatever it is, your phone or your authenticating device, but it's
Or
a
even
much
traveling.
bigger pain in the ass if your account is hacked, to Scott's point.
Yeah, and don't be too much dependent on social media to communicate. I think you guys mentioned this before. If I start a conversation on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I have with all of you, what do I typically do? I try to redirect it off into another platform such as email. Why? Because now it's more credible. We can talk and share things that maybe are a little bit more proprietary or confidential that we don't want the entire public to know if any of us are breached or compromised. So just little tips like that. Know the platform, and it has basic communications. Hey, that's great. Take it off to another platform, and now you'll really get to communicate with somebody safer and more secure.
I mean, that's really a fantastic advice. Tom, for our audience, I'm sure most folks are aware, but for those people who are not, help us understand your role as a futurist and trends in social media that would inform your assessments for such a giant and important company as SAP. What's it like? I mean, where do you sit in the organizational chart? Do they have you by yourself somewhere, or
kind of, sort of? Yeah, I mean, I do. I work. I do a lot of work for the supply chain organization and also for the sustainability organizations. So that's just because I have a strong interest as well in sustainability, and I'm always trying to marry the kind of futures predictions that I do with technology and sustainability. So a lot of it is that it is both internal education for people within SAP to say, okay, this is what's happened, this is where we are, and this is where things are going to go. But it's also then external education to our customers and our partners to say, this is where things are going, and this is why you should think of going this direction, because we've already seen this has happened, and the logical conclusion that is we're going to be over there pretty soon. So you want to start getting your systems ready for these kinds of changes. So that's,
are you thinking, forgive the interruption, are you thinking like a carbon footprint or recycling of computers and technology, or, what kind of inputs would you, be paying attention to?
It goes deeper than that. So, I'm looking at things like the decarbonization of energy. I'm looking at things like the electrification of transportation. And of course, those come very nicely together, because if you decarbonize the energy grid and then you use electricity for transportation, if you've decarbonized it, then you've got clean transportation straight away. So those kinds of things, but also shifts in things like business models. We're getting now a shift towards what's called the outcome economy, which is where people are more likely to pay for a service rather than a product, the subscription basis, essentially. So this has huge implications, again, for sustainability, because if manufacturers are manufacturing things now not to sell but to rent to people, which is where things are going slowly but surely, then they maintain ownership of them. And that has two huge implications. On the data side, it means that the manufacturers now maintain ownership, so they maintain ownership of the data. Previously, the ownership of the data would have resided with the person who owned it, who would have been the person who bought it. But if it's rented to them, now the data resides with the manufacturer. And this is, I mean, we've all heard that data is the new, I don't want to use the OIL word, so I'm going to say that it's the new currency. So the other big aspect of the outcome economy is that because the manufacturers maintain ownership of it, suddenly there's no incentive for inbuilt obsolescence. And this is huge for sustainability reasons as well, because now things will have a much longer lifespan. And of course, longer lifespan is great for everyone. It means fewer inputs, and at the end of life, more likelihood of being reused and recycled. So, big wins for everyone there. And thank you. That's my Tech for Good newsletter. Thanks, Gary.
No, not at all. This is where our audience can get more information. I love the idea of a tech for good. That's better than what we deal with, which is criminals, which is tech for bad. And we have a number of different issues here that the audience can get a hold of. So I just want to make sure that our audience could benefit from the great work that you do. So thanks for what you're doing. And Sophia, so tell us a little bit more. You've had an incredibly interesting journey to get to your point in your career. You're the chief operating officer. Tell us about Supremely and what is your mission there?
So what we are doing, I started working in hardware development, designing hardware, and I was working for a company that they were doing authentication. So we were working on the device for authentication. So that's why I got into cybersecurity. And then, my company right now, we are working on a technology which is called zero key. So we are trying to replace passwords as they are, and replace also MFA and two-factor authentication with a different technology for which I have a patent for that. So that's what mainly we're doing right now.
What is it? Tell us about the patent. You would be the first patent holder on our show. Yay! Is this breaking news or something?
Well,
for our audience. Yeah. Wait. Forgive the interruption, but you have no idea. I'm about to cry from joy, Tom. You realize, of course, that you're going to have to be, one of our rapid responders, and that means, you're in Sevilla, Spain, and so, just get used to it because, I'm never letting go of you. Sorry. Yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to tell you,
you have a patent.
Yeah, I do. It's called Universal Dynamic Authentication System. So it's basically a system that authenticates machines. But what I wanted to say, regarding the topic, which was social engineering, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to educate the audience on this topic and to talk about an anecdote that happened to me regarding social engineering. And it happened to my dad, actually. And he was browsing a website and he got a pop-up message saying that he got infected with malware. And he got to call the phone number because he had issues with the computer and they could fix it. So he visited their website and it was like a legit cybersecurity company that they were doing that. So he called that phone number and they asked him for his personal information right away, name, full name, email address. And the guy said, okay, I'm going to email you a software so you can install in your computer so it can remove your malware, right? And he was like, but before doing that, you need to pay $30 for this service, blah, blah, blah. So he provided his credit card number. So they charged him $30 for that. And the guy took advantage to also download another software. He downloaded a RAD, to access his computer when he was not online or whatever it was. And then after that, he put that in auto payment. So, and then he was talking to the guy and he said, well, this is the funny part. He said, my daughter, she works in cybersecurity as well. And when he said that to the guy hung up right away. And my dad was like, what's going on with this? Why the guy hung up on me? So he tried to call again. The phone was disconnected right away. And by the time he contacted me, everything was down. The website was down, phone numbers were not working, the emails were bouncing. And I was like, you know what, Dad, I think you got scammed because that was not a legit cybersecurity company. They were actually impersonating a real cybersecurity company, the same look and feel in the website, the same everything, just a small difference in the web URL. And then we contacted the FBI, but the thing is, I did some forensics, tried to recover some information, some fingerprints, but it was a dead end because everything was gone after 10 minutes. I didn't have time to download their website or do anything at all because it was already gone. So in that, with this anecdote, I want people to know that this happens. This is something that actually happens, and you need to be aware that either they can call you or you can call them, and it can be a scam.
And so the bottom line here is, if someone does call, we got to say, my daughter works in cybersecurity, and that ends the phone call straight away.
Just
Yeah, yes, it works like that.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Or what a coincidence! My child, works in cybersecurity, and then click.
There is some truth in that, guys, because I had a similar thing. Somebody was targeting our company. They called in, said we had a problem. It was the fraud department with Microsoft. Our office manager came and said, there's this crazy guy saying he needs to access my computer to get malware off immediately. So I said, let me talk to him. I talked to him a little bit, got some information because I knew he was a scammer. And it was funny. At one point, I said something similar. I said, sir, I said, I know you're trying to get remote access to our computer, and I got enough information on you. I just want to let you know you're talking to the owner of a cybersecurity company. And his pleasant demeanor, he had a strong Indian voice. He said, Scott, I am going to kill your wife, kill your daughter, and kill your girlfriend. And then he hung up on me, and it was kind of funny. I said, what a strange individual. But he was clearly a cyber criminal that was just going around dialing, trying to target people and get access to their computers and their network so they could place malware and steal things. So be very careful when you get a strange call. If somebody wants to access your computer and give you a certain link to enter, hang up the phone. Do not go down that path. No one's going to call you and ask you to do that. And they're going to pretend they're from security, fraud, the bank, Microsoft. It doesn't matter. 9 out of 10 times, it will be a scam.
So
sometimes I like to waste their time.
Wait, sorry, just one moment. This is also like breaking news. Scott, do you want to clarify for our audience that you do have a wife, but not a girlfriend?
Actually, she's working here at the company today, my wife, and I do not have a girlfriend.
What?
Trouble on that. Monday is our anniversary. We're celebrating 25 years, and that would end really quick. So I want to at least make 25 years. I have to be careful. So just to go on the record, I do not have a girlfriend. Thank you.
Yesterday,
You should get one of those, Scott.
There you go.
All right, go ahead. Tom, Sophie, you were going to jump in?
I was just going to say that sometimes, if I have a few minutes, I like to waste their time. When these people call through. Oh, hang on, let me reboot the computer. No, the power doesn't seem to be working. What do I need to do next? Which button? No, that's over on the left side in this one. Maybe play completely down.
I saw something on Shark Tank here in the States. Maybe you would have seen this episode where these two engineer guys developed a bot or some robo sort of thing that does exactly that with artificial intelligence.
Ooh,
so
nice.
when it detects a scam number, it engages them with. It was unbelievably effective, at least in the samples, Oh, just a minute. And like the voice would yell, oh, shut up back there. I'm on the phone. And then you might hear a dog, and they just keep them on for an hour. It was unbelievable.
Nice. I of course, have the benefit of not having a Windows machine. So if they're calling me from Microsoft to tell me there's a problem with my computer, straight away, I'm like, I really don't think so.
Yeah.
Sophie, you wanted...
No, I just want to recap a little bit for the audience so they know a few quick tips, like always be suspicious of unsolicited calls, phone, emails, or even visits at your office. And also never provide personal information over the phone if you don't know the organization, like if you didn't actually call the phone number. And even if you call the phone number, verify if it is the actual phone number of the organization you are trying to reach out. And also don't reveal financial information on social media or personal information on social media. I've seen a lot of people, they upload their vaccine cards to social media. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. Or even your passport or your plane tickets, don't do that. And also don't send sensitive information over websites that they are not encrypted with HTTPS. So you need to be careful also to put your credit card information. And also pay attention at the URL when you are visiting a website, or even if you receive an email from like a known source, just check if it's the actual email. Sometimes it looks like info.netflix, not Netflix. So check always the URL.
Wow, that is a great series of tools and tips. And it's kind of amazing to me that something like 80% or more of hacks are caused by simple human errors. Much like what you just laid out there. Is that valid? Is that a valid statement?
Yeah, actually, that is very valid. And it also comes in other forms too, Gary, which I think is interesting. Just to throw in one, because I thought a comment popped up before, which was actually excellent. Social engineering is not something new and not something just because of tech. It goes back for a very long time. So think of an old school social engineering technique called tailgating. Imagine you have a secure facility and somebody's walking in quickly. They wave their badge in front of the door opens, and the person
Can you hold the door for me?
goes right by. Yeah, please hold the door open for me there. I got hot coffee. Oh, I'll give you one, or donuts or something. And what happens? Our kindness, our innocence, our trust, human nature will hold the door open. And especially that works. Maybe it's a man that'll hold the door open for a woman, whatever. So social engineers will play on this, the human aspect, to take advantage so they could gain access to a secure facility or a place that they're not normally allowed to do. So we have to think of social engineering in many aspects where they could gain access to information, to resources, to people, to computer networks, to personal login information, whatever the case may be. That's important.
Indeed. And so, Tom, as we're starting to wrap up, boy, I thank you all so much. This is incredibly interesting and enlightening. And, thanks so much for who you are, your real life unsung cyber heroes who toil in anonymity to keep us safe, and it's a privilege to get to listen and learn, from you. So thank you. Tom, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience to amplify what you're doing, or what here's the question. What does the future hold, Tom?
I think in terms of cybersecurity, it's not an area I focus on in terms of research. Straight up, right away, full disclaimer. But I gotta think that the likes of AI and machine learning is going to have a huge impact on cybersecurity. It is already having that kind of an impact. It on both sides, both the bad actors are going to deploy more of it and are already deploying more of it in attacks, and also the good guys, the cyber security professionals are using it more and more, I think, to identify attacks and identify, because you're looking at massive amounts of information and to try and weed through all that information manually is impossible now. So you need the likes of AI to look through and look for unusual patterns of data flow and think, okay, there's something there. Maybe I need to flag that and take a closer look at it. So AI is going to have huge implications for this space.
I'm really glad that you said that. We have an upcoming show. I don't have the date right in front of me. That's going to be about next gen AI. And one of our guests is one of the engineers who helped create Kendra, which is a really interesting search engine for AWS for large enterprises. And if there's another senior AI person out there in the audience, you might want to participate in that really important show. Send an email to Gary at cyberheroescomics.com. Again, I'll just show you that so you can send it. In a few weeks, if everything goes according to plan, you'll be able to check out our new upgraded website, nice. Courtesy of Supremely and Sophia and their great CEO, Mark. And I didn't even ask for it. So, hey, look, my wife, as all of you know, thinks I'm sort of batshit, but evidently this is working, whatever this all is. And, I'm never going to quit. So if you want to participate in our show by doing some kind of sponsorship or something like that, just send me an email. Glad to talk with you about that. Sophia, what are final words do you have for our audience?
Well, thank you everyone for listening to us and taking the time to learn a little bit more about social engineering, and stay awake and be careful and pay attention to everything.
Indeed. Scott, you'll have the last word. Thanks for being a rapid responder today.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here, everyone. Thank you. And thanks for the viewers watching too. I just encourage people, a lot of times we talk about technology, machine learning, and artificial intelligence and things. And these things are slowly adapting, and both the good guys and bad guys are using it. But as far as what can we do as a person that's dealing with these different scams that are going on so we don't fall victim to social engineering, I think it's very important that we do not trust people or things we read or things we see until we check it. Do our own due diligence, do a little bit of research, pick the phone up, send a text message, ask somebody to verify who they say they are. Prove it to yourself before you divulge any information. That's really fundamental so you're not duped or fooled by any social engineer. And stay safe.
Indeed. And well, on that note, again, thanks so much for who you are and what you do and why you go about doing it. So for our audience, stay tuned and stay safe out there.